Hello my friends and welcome back to my channel. In this very quick video I'd like to provide a solution for the very annoying, in my opinion, very annoying HDR black level rays in Starfield on the Xbox Series X and S. And yes, I know that the HDR implementation in Starfield on the Xbox Series X and S was most likely done on purpose, but to be very honest, I don't agree on the creator's intent in this case. And yeah, I don't have to agree. I have just to admit that I don't like it. And I have to realize that's how it is. I can't do much about it because there is no settings actually. We still have literally 0 settings in the game to change the picture quality. And I really don't understand why we can't have, at least at some places or some locations in the game, perfect OLED black, because not everything needs to have raised black levels or a very greenish filter. That's just my opinion, because it just looks awful on my LG G2 and the S95C. But I mentioned this already, that this HDR implementation was most likely done on purpose, and you can actually quite simply or easy see this on this example here, because when we're walking through the ship here and we coming closer to the cockpit, something very interesting is actually happening. So right now the maximum peak brightness is limited to around 252 nits, but as soon we are very close to the cockpit, something is happening. We have now suddenly a maximum peak brightness of around 900 candela. So that means the HDR implementation in this game is more than able to provide a higher peak brightness. And that actually means that nothing is broken in terms of HDR as I considered it in my first video. It is really done on purpose, and I just don't like it. But let's talk about my recommended settings for now, because again, I still hope we get some sort of a fix to improve HDR in this game. And what I found is that using the fine-tune dark area setting on the LG OLED TVs is actually the best what you can do. In my case, I used fine-tune dark area setting -30 to get rid of this very annoying HDR black level rays. So keep in mind, if you like to use the fine-tune dark area setting on the LG OLED TVs, you must enable VRR on the console or PC. But just in case, if you don't like to use the FTDA settings, then you can use the black stabilizer in the gaming optimizer menu on the LG OLED TVs if available. But what I found is, when I compared the fine-tune dark area settings with the black stabilizer settings, that the fine-tune dark area setting is actually keeping all the details even with set to -30. On the other hand, the black stabilizer setting, when you come very close to setting 0, you can actually see that you lose a lot of details in in darker areas. So that means shadow details are actually are lost. So in my opinion, the fine-tune dark area setting is the better option compared to the black stabilizer setting. And then we have the question, HDRG or dynamic tone mapping on. Some people like dynamic tone mapping on over HDRG. I prefer, especially in this game, HDRG over dynamic tone mapping on. And why I prefer HDRG over dynamic tone mapping on, you can see this on my samples here or examples. I like HDRG because dynamic tone mapping on is overbrighten the picture, especially when you play in the night or in darker locations. And it's not just overbrighten the whole picture, it is also lifting the black levels again, which gives you again a more washed out picture compared to HDRG. And on top, some specular highlights are just looking very blown out with dynamic tone mapping on compared to HDRG. In terms of the average picture brightness during daylight scenes, there is literally no difference or almost no difference between dynamic tone mapping on and HDRG. I found the average picture brightness or the brightness in the game, even with HDRG enabled, more than enough. But again, I still hope for some settings where we can actually set up HDR in a better way. Okay, my friends, so that's it from my end. And again, my quick recommendation is use fine-tune dark area setting -30. Make sure that you actually activate VRR, otherwise FTDA, defined your dark area settings, are not working, and use HDR if you like it. If not, go ahead and use dynamic tone mapping on. That's absolutely up to you. And if you like this video, then make sure you like, share and subscribe, and I will keep you up to date if there is any new update in terms of Starfield and HDR.